Good morning, traders. It is Wednesday, the 31st of August, 2016, the last day of the month. It's 7:47 a.m. This is a pre-recorded session of today's Trader Bite. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative of future results. The overnight news is led by the consumer confidence numbers slowing down in China. The consumer sentiment index fell 2.2% to 111.5 and showed notable weakness in the labor market as the employment outlook indicator sank to a 6-month low of 92.2. The second item was the Eurozone inflation. Disappointed. Data from Eurostat showed that consumer prices in the Eurozone rose to 0.2% year over year in August, missing the 0.3 print that economists had forecast. The euro is little changed. UK home prices jumped after Brexit. Nationwide home prices climbed 0.6% month over month in August. And as far as what we've got on deck for today, of course, at about half hour ago at 7:15 Central, 8:15 Eastern, we got the August ADP employment change. It came in at 177,000 versus 175,000. Remember, this number is supposed to be a proxy for the non-farm payrolls this Friday. Very, very important release this time around, with the Fed seemingly at the cusp of making a decision to start slowly raising rates. As far as what's on deck for today, we still have Chicago PMI, which comes out, which is scheduled to come out at 8:45 Central, 9:45 Eastern, just 15 minutes after the open. But this number comes out to subscribers early. You should be prepared for it to show up at about 8:41 or 8:42. I generally tweet out the rumored number once the private folks get it, and it's been in line. The last few times. Just remember to, if you're in a trade and don't have cover for risk, that you might want to close that position before 8:41, 8:42 Central. We have pending home sales at 9 Central. Month on month expecting 0.7. Year on year expecting 2.2%. Then we have crude oil inventories at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. We're looking for 1.5 million barrels on crude. Gasoline inventories negative 1.25 million, and distillates 275,000. Lots of speakers on deck overnight. We had Vilroy, who spoke at the open of the Treasury market in Europe. Then we had Rosengren at 3:15 Eastern. We had Evans at 3:15 Eastern, and ECB's Prate at 3:15 Eastern. These were all in Beijing. At 7 o'clock, we had Fed Speaker Kashkari, 7 Central. I'll keep flipping time zones. And at 7:45 currently, ECB Speaker Vilroy again speaking in Frankfurt. There's nothing else on deck for this afternoon. After the PMI and pending home sales and oil, we're pretty much clear. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Here's what we got. Here's what we expected. We expected the market to continue to chop around and work its way, chop around that 79.25, work its way towards 2186. And potentially higher. That was the primary hypothesis. Again, the primary hypothesis did not work out yesterday. The market did not agree with that, and that's its prerogative. The secondary hypothesis is again more chop around the 2179.25 MC VPOC, and then a drop towards the 7250. That was partially correct, but mostly that didn't work out either. What played out today is hypo number 4 again, which was a drop, and it took back pretty much what it did the prior session. So when we look at what we did here, we had a nice clean open auction. It opened right at 2178. That was the low print, and then it pushed up. It looked very much like this open over here. It pushed up, and then it turned to 2181.50 fairly quickly on the open of the session. At about 4 minutes in, it went to 2181.50, and then we saw sellers step right back in. You can see the delta dropping very quickly over here, and then it tagged that 2178 opening print, giving us the opening swing low. So the opening swing high, opening swing low. What we have is an open auction, what looks like an open auction. And so we're expecting chop on an open auction. That's what we got. Nice chop, just as anticipated. So Hypo 1 was on deck. It's actually Hypo 2 that was on deck, because Hypo 1 was looking for a chop down here and then a move up. And what it did is it moved up right from the get-go and then started chopping. So with Hypo 2 on deck, we're looking for 72.50 as the target. What the market ended up doing, though, which was kind of nice, is it rotated down from 2180 to 2175, a small pullback, and then we had another push from 2176.75 to 2171.50. The first rotation was 5 points. The second full rotation, even though we had a little pullback here, the second full rotation was about 5 points as well, 5.25 points. What I was looking for on a little bit higher time frame is a pullback to the mid and a continuation, and the target for the continuation is 2171.50. A couple of people and I tweeted about that in the afternoon as it was happening, and it did work out. The problem with this trade, though, is that it didn't quite push deep into the mid here. It stopped just short. It was a very, very lackadaisical kind of zipper that it put up top. So you could see that it started to zipper on the way up. It has its pullback, and it looks like it's likely to continue now. It pushes up. It has another zipper. Then it has another zipper here, and then it finally releases. But that's, to me, that was the only clean and clear trade within plan for yesterday. Again, the target was the initial low, and then the secondary target was a test of the prior day's low, which was this green line here at 69.25. Remember, we got into this P. Okay, we got into the stem of the P. Once we get into the stem of the P, we're looking for the test of the open and the prior that day's close. That's common, and the market did work that out. Once it got down here, we could see that the underlying issues, the underlying sectors were gaining some strength. You could see here on the retest of the low, even though price started to move up, the delta went sideways, which kind of had me sitting on the sideline, but then eventually delta started working its way up to join price. Difficult trade on the close. This is not my cup of tea here. This trend here was not my cup of tea, but the way it closed last night, the way it closed yesterday, it seemed to come back right above the MCLVN zone. So the idea was it's likely to continue higher overnight, which it did not do. Again, it's just not following the general nature of the auction. But again, that's what markets do. This morning, the overnight session, 126,000 contracts. Again, very, very, very light. But you know what? These light overnight days have resulted in enough consolidation and kurtosis to give us some pretty decent movement during the day. So that's a welcome look. We have a weak high. We have a fairly decent low, but the market's pushing lows right now, and it's expected. It's likely to continue to do so. Remember, yesterday's low was 2168.50. We tested the prior low by 2 ticks and jumped back up again. I expected this to pull back and continue higher overnight, which did not happen. Anyway, that's how things are shaping up. There's no time for me to cover anything else this morning. When I look at the overall picture here of what balance is doing, the most recent bounce, I see that it's filling, it just keeps filling in the value area. It's completely balanced still. I'm expecting another day. Unfortunately, I have to kind of stick with what the auction is telling me, which is probably another day of chop, another day, another rotational type day. The expectation for this morning is to open, test lower, find its buyers, and then step right back up, pull back to the morning noise, the morning chop, the morning zipper, and then start working its way back up to 79 and a quarter. That's hypo 1. And then hypo 2, again, same story, same balance, same everything. Hypo 2 is looking for a test higher early, which is really not expected, then chop, then push lower, pull back, and then continue lower yet again to retest the next area down, which was the 65.50 as outlined yesterday. So that's hypo 2. That's it for everything that I've got. Anyway, that's the rundown for today. Hopefully you got something out of this. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks.